call, Joy, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that counts.
They're fast breeds.
Well, that's.
Actually wishing many countries wishing somebody happy birthday ahead of time. Like, huge superstition.
That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Well, if I don't make it till tomorrow, Troy has got that out of the way. I'm okay with it. I'm not too concerned.
I like that number 4, somebody actually approved the September agenda. Just gonna approve it.
Yeah, I know.
For all month.
Yep,
Do it all month.
yep.
Just leave it off the agenda.
Typo there. When I caught it, I thought I am not reprinting and posting everything. We will just deal with it.
I'll just add this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Say what? Do a little yoga. All right, it's 9 a.m. All right, good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. It is our weekly meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners. It is Tuesday, September 1st. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe it is Myron's turn.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, number 2 on the agenda is call for public comment. We will still allow people to call in if they don't feel comfortable of attending the meeting in person, and that will be addressed during the open part. It is for items that are not on the agenda. The 2 phone numbers are 882-6248 and 882-6297. Also, I would ask if anyone has a cell phone, if they would silence it. And we are streaming live on YouTube. Item number 3, conflict of interest items. Are there any on the agenda for any commissioners today?
No.
All right, item number 4, action to approve the September 1st agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Van Duzen, second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 5, action to approve the minutes of the August 25th, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Johnson,
I'll second.
second by Gable. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 6, public hearing on the 2021 provisional budget. Throughout the month of September, we will call for a public hearing for individuals if there is any items on that provisional budget that they would like us to address. So at this time, I will open it up for the public hearing on the 2021 provisional budget. Doesn't seem like there is anyone here. Also, commissioners, we would do that during this time too, if there's anything on the provisional budget that the commissioners would see. All right,
Do you want me to make? I can.
if you can make a couple comments, that would be fine.
Let me see if I can pull it up here. Just a couple things, Madam Chair. Let me see if I can share a screen.
This
Just a
is in
couple.
relation to which budget?
Mostly the commissioner's budget, but possibly welfare. We had a meeting on Friday with the Behavioral Health and Justice Working Group. And we talked, this is kind of small. Let me see if I can't make it. Yeah, I don't have the right thing. Just to make it a little bit, just thinking, we talked about the managed IT services already, just a couple things that we've been talking about lately that we need to make sure we consider in the budget. So managed IT services, that was roughly, I think it was 43,000 and some. And then I think Cindy, you already added it into
That was
to
it
the
for
provisional budget that's already been published. So you can kind of-
425, is that correct?
422 is what I had, but it's
It
I
would
don't
be
know.
considered 425.
420, okay.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. And then the other two things were possible studies. One was the wage and compensation study. I mean, if we do that this year, I don't think we need to budget for next year. But that was in the $31,000 area with,
What was that study?
for the wage study.
Oh, wage study.
Yeah,
Didn't we vote on that already?
I thought we
we did. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just
It's
saying,
it's just if that
gonna
would,
bring it
back.
we do have it in the budget yet, this year's budget. But if we don't decide to do it for sure, we might roll it over to next year's
yeah, I'm
budget.
suggesting budgeting it for next year if we're not
Okay.
going to do it this year. And possibly a criminal justice study, but that's, you know, even just looking at
Now, what part of that would be? What would that be? A study of?
the study of our system, just a systematic study of everything. Now, I think we might be able to get that one, you know, with a grant or something. So
Yeah, Lee's
that's
working
an
on it.
idea. Yeah. So,
It would be
that one might
put
be
in there,
something.
but that's subject to change if
Yeah.
he was
And that
able to
would be
get some
again-
grants.
you know, 35,000-ish. And the idea there is to look at the whole system, see how we can, you know, keep the jail numbers down. You know, right now they're down because of COVID. So maybe there's some stuff we can learn from that. And then the other one was on the behavioral health and welfare, our behavioral health justice and justice working group that we had on Friday. We started talking about the need for an overall case manager, like community wide. So you've heard us talk about warm handouts, but in any event, and that's something we might want to think about budgeting for. So kind of we saw that the deflection program didn't quite work with law enforcement, but there's still a need there to kind of manage that. So I'm looking at roughly the same cost as the deflection program. So that's something that, you know, we talked about ICAP before. They said that they could do that, working out of the welfare office or where, you know, some other place. But the idea there is you'd have kind of a case manager looking at community wide. So as people get into the social service system, you know, you'd look, you know, track, you know, be it welfare programs, be it ICAP programs, faith-based programs, HSA, whatever, trying to keep track of that, which would facilitate these people getting around the different, you know, what, based on their needs, getting around to the different programs and agencies. And what appeals to me about that is that it would hopefully keep our jail numbers lower. So that would be a cost saving. So I was thinking that could either go into the welfare budget or it could go into somewhere in the commissioner's budget, but about $28,000, and based upon what ICAP said. So it doesn't necessarily have to be ICAP, but just that gives us an idea of the cost. So, and that would be for a 19 hours a week person. So that's some suggestions there. And that's all I got.
So
So
which
that would be
line
rough.
items?
That would be, well, if you do welfare, the activity is 411, and I put line 422, but maybe that's not the right line. But
422 is professional services.
yeah,
And
so
that
that's why I
would be
picked that one.
for,
That could-
Professional services are more like what Natalie does for us.
So maybe 425.
425,
Okay.
it would be repairs and maintenance. It's a service contract is what it
Okay,
is.
so 425 then. So whether it goes into the commissioner's budget or welfare, you know, we can talk about
Oh,
that.
sorry, I'm talking the managed IT services. Sorry
Oh.
if I was in the
No.
wrong spot there.
so managed IT, we already have
That's
that in
425.
I already
there.
That's already
added that
taken care
in.
of.
That's in
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
So basically, I'm talking about three things. Now, if you guys don't like the idea of the criminal justice study, then I'm talking about two things. So one would be wage and compensation study, and the other one would be possibly case management, you know, for social services, community-wide case management. So,
So those two, well,
Yeah.
the wage or the justice study would go down in 429, correct?
that's where I had it, yeah.
And that's, we already, do we
No,
have that in there?
no, I don't think so.
You know, there was something
There's-
in there last year. I mean, you
Yeah.
did have something in there when you gave me the provisional
Right.
budget. I just added the 45,000 to
Well,
it.
then
So I
maybe-
don't know what you had in there to
Let me
begin
look at
with.
that. Maybe that's not necessary.
We'll get
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
squared away before.
we've got a month.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
another point of interest is the total budget, provisional budget for 2021 is $17,947,787. And that compares to the 2020 annual budget of $17,371,150. It's about a 3.25% increase.
Am I not finding that, I'm not finding that number.
Nope,
Cindy.
it's not part of the form that's
Okay.
prescribed by the Department of Revenue.
All right,
Yep, I just added everything across the bottom row and that's where we come.
It won't show up in the provisional budget book, right? Go to the last page or something like that. Oh, yeah. it does.
No, because not everything in there is the same as this
Okay.
printout.
All right.
They don't, yeah.
Cindy, I'm curious about those numbers that you just put out there, that 3.2%?
3.25 approximately
2.5%.
increase, yep.
Is there a way to break that down to see how much of that is actually salary increases and health insurance? And
Not,
that would be a lot.
not
of
without
Put it on.
taking a few days, which
Yeah,
right
okay.
now we just don't have.
would you repeat
so I
that
was curious.
$17 million number again?
For the current year or
Yes.
for 2021,
2021.
17,947,787.
Yeah, usually it is.
Thank you.
So it's going up about $500,000.
Yep, 576 approximately,
Let's go.
where
to
it's
the-
at right now.
How about the revenue side?
Well, the revenue side, we use cash to
Supplement.
bring it up to where we need to be. I think our property tax increase amounted to 300 some thousand
Yeah,
for next year.
yeah.
I don't
And
have
then
that right in front of me.
Some of
About 8
these,
million.
some of these budgeted items may not happen. So I mean, it's just a plan. We don't, it's not set in stone. So it may not be actual dollars. That's just,
It's a budget.
it's just a
It's
budget.
a budget,
So
that's
there
what
may
it
be
is.
things that don't happen that then
You try to stick to your budget if
Yeah.
you don't, right,
if you don't use it, then it's just
yeah.
less that we'd have to take
It's-
cash to
it's a-
make
it's
up.
a
Well, and the
tool,
reason that I
planted
asked
tool.
that question is because a lot of our department heads going through these budgets, basically line by line with the department heads, we're not seeing an increase in their budgets. A lot of them have either
So,
reduced
well-
their budgets or maintain their
Yes.
existing budget.
I
That's why I was curious
maintained
about the health
mine.
and insurance.
I maintained mine. So while I did budget for salary increases and health insurance increases, I did cut back in other places that I thought I could
Mhm.
for next year. So I don't think I'm shorting my budget anything. I think I'm just keeping it closer to where it actually should be.
Well, and the thing is not every year do you have major expenses, like, you
Right.
replace the voting machines,
But
and
that's a whole
so.
separate budget. That doesn't come out of the auditor's budget.
Okay.
That comes out of the election.
Your election
My
budget.
budget is just for my office, my computers, any type of equipment that we use supplies. So
Right.
just kind of tighten that up a little bit. Right now, I don't anticipate replacing any computers next year. We're a couple years out from that, so.
Thank you for doing that, Cindy.
Department heads were asked to try and keep their budgets
Be
as tight as
conservative,
possible
and they
this
are.
year, and we
These- I
appreciate.
mean, these department heads are very good
Mhm.
about keeping the increases minimal, so they always
Appreciate
have
that.
been.
Yeah, they try to do their replacement on their computers, spread that out, so it's
Yes.
not one big amount at a
Yep.
time, so, yep, appreciate all of that. All right, do we have anything else? Otherwise, I will close the public hearing then, the 2021 provisional budget. We have Luke, he needs to get on the road. Is anybody opposed to, can we scoot his item, which is number 13, second reading, up before we do monthly reports? Is anyone opposed?
Okay with that.
I did have a question
Is
about
okay with that?
Madam Chair, I had a
Yes.
question on that. So on the minutes, it said it was scheduled for the 8th.
Originally, we had discussed that, but Luke, when I talked to him, he said he would rather have it done today. So we didn't take action to set it for the 8th.
Yeah.
It was just,
Okay, so I just want
it
to make
was
sure.
just a
we're-
projected
And we're
time.
okay, I checked with
the
him.
Spacing between the
Yep.
first and second.
You
we're
just
okay with
need
that?
5
Okay.
days, so we're
All right.
okay
Yep.
on that.
Yep.
I did check, so.
Okay.
All right, so if no one is opposed, we'll move then to item number 13. Rick, are you okay? Do you need to get out? Okay, okay. So we'll move to item number 13, the second reading. Is Luke on there? Yep, there he is. Second reading of ordinance number 71 and action to approve. So I'll have Luke first introduce that, and then I will look for a motion and second, and then we'll have some discussion. All right,
Sure,
Luke.
sure. Thank me. I will go ahead and read that first reading. It's a long title. Ordinance 71 is an ordinance entitled an ordinance amending Article 2 definitions, Chapter 304 Agricultural District of Article 3 District Regulations, and adding Chapter 5.33 Solar Energy Systems, parenthetically SES, of Article 5 General Provisions of Ordinance 65, an ordinance amending Ordinance 15, an ordinance establishing comprehensive zoning regulations for Codington County, South Dakota, and providing for the administration, enforcement, and amendment thereof pursuant to SDCL 11-2, 1967, and amendments thereof, and for the repeal of all resolutions and/or ordinances in conflict herewith.
You turn the bottom.
So there's your title on second reading, and that is the second time we've read that. And so now we have held a joint public hearing in front of the Planning Commission and County Commission. We held first reading last week. We have had more than 5 days in between first reading and second reading, so our schedule is being met here. So with that, we'll probably need a motion before I get into this much.
All right, so I would look for a motion and a second from the board.
So move. Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Waterman, and now we can have further discussion. Luke, if you want to hit the high points of that, and then.
Sure. I'm really, thank you, commissioners. Again, I'm really going to avoid diving into this too deeply. This has been out there for quite a while. We've talked about it for quite a while. It's been online and at the two offices. And I'm really just more going to get into the why of what we're doing here. As you're aware, we have the ability to have wind farms in our county, as you're well aware. As you look to the east, you can tell that. What we didn't have in the ordinance is the ability to have solar energy systems, which has not been necessarily on purpose. It's been more about the fact that the real effective model for an ordinance didn't really exist. And we're not huge on just saying you can have solar farms, no conditions apply. And so that's where we're at now, is we are allowing solar farms subject to conditions with the process. And rather than me reading verbatim and going through section by section, I'm really just going to summarize and say that we've added definitions that are necessary to regulate things. A solar energy system is probably the only thing I'm really not even going to read that. Solar energy system, when you think of it, it's going to include the solar panels as well as the electrical lines that are going to run things back into the grid. There are going to be two types. We'll have the solar energy system that is the one that produces electricity commercially, which would be similar to a large scale wind farm, only this would be for a large scale solar energy system. Sure, that could include a whole quarter section of land or something like that, but more traditionally of late, that has been tied down to a smaller area akin to what you see on, say, an oversized substation. In terms of the other system is going to be that private system, similar to, say, a farmer putting up a small wind tower on their property for a closed system. And that is called a private solar energy system, and that would be allowed as a permitted accessory use, meaning that if I have a house or I have a farm or something like that, I could stick a solar panel up, and as long as I'm not putting that back into the grid, selling that back, I can go ahead and use that on my farm. And we've got conditions for that. Otherwise, we've got a solar energy system ordinance. It becomes a conditional use and has numerous conditions into there as far as setbacks and having a landscape plan, fencing for security. Landscaping plan may seem a little bit odd, but the primary concern there is to make sure that we've got a plan in place for controlling weeds. As you're probably aware, running a Kubota or your favorite type of lawn tractor underneath those solar panels isn't going to work great. So they're gonna have to have someone in there, some method of controlling weeds into there, and then identifying haul roads for construction. We've got setbacks listed into there that are similar to what we've been seeing adopted in northern South Dakota of late over the last half a year, from residences, governmental facilities, roads, side yards, that sort of thing. Have a process as far as then decommissioning as well. And we actually had to dig a little bit deep as far as how that's been set up, but went through a couple of other state models as well as the states as far as how they've looked at funding a decommissioning bond, so to speak, or whatever financial assurance. You may remember we've been using a set amount for wind farms. But again, those are apples and oranges when it comes to decommissioning them. So again, it's got a decommissioning section. With that, I'll back out just to let you know that this is not the primary thing that I want to point out is that we separate them out. If someone wants to have their own, solar panel, say on their house, or to tie power back into a bin site or something like that, we've got that ability as an accessory use as long as they're not selling it back. And then now finally, we have the ability if someone wants to have a solar farm in our county, they could at least come in and ask if they can meet our ordinance requirements. And that's all I've got.
All right. Do I have any questions?
Yeah.
From the
Madam Chair,
board.
I had a couple. Just,
Commissioner Gable.
Luke, can you remind us of what the setback is for, say, a house?
Sure, that is a good question. And the setback is 500 feet from a residence, business, church, and building owned or operated by a governmental entity, unless of course they get a waiver from that entity, whoever it's from.
So does it differentiate between participating and non-participating like we did with wind, or just?
No, and the main reason is because with that exception into there, as far as if you get a sign off from the person you need the setback from, it's really irrelevant if they're participating or not at that point, if they can convince them to sign off on it.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions from the board? And just to reiterate, we did have our joint public hearing at the last planning and zoning meeting, which was on August 17th. So we did meet that requirement.
One point, just on this particular thing in the packet, just says first reading, but this is the second reading.
It's the
They
second
did-
reading.
Just
It's-
so people don't get confused, it just happens to be printed
Where'd you see? it?
right there underneath.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
That's just the,
I'm just,
Yeah.
I realize that.
Yep.
I'm just
Okay.
reminding.
yep, that's all right.
Good point.
Yeah, on the agenda, it does say second reading. So yeah, we want to make sure everything is done properly. Appreciate that. All right. No other discussion? We ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, that motion carries. All right, so we now have ordinance number 71, which will allow solar energy in our county. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you, commissioners. Cindy, I will work to get the notice of adoption to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Have a good day. We will move on then to extension with Jody. I see she's there. Well, she was there. She is. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning.
What do you have for us today?
Well, our Codington County Achievement Days look different this year. We held those at the beginning of August. However, everyone adapted to the changes and made it work for the benefit of our 4-H youth. So big thank you to our 4-H leaders, judges, parents, and our alumni that came and helped with that. The state small animal shows, along with the state horse show, were held this past weekend to get them away from the state fair because of space. So I did help with the state horse show on Saturday and Sunday in Huron. I'm glad I got out of there when I did with the weather that came in on Sunday night. Today I'll leave for state fair again. I'll be heading off to Huron here after lunch. And that will conclude on Labor Day. The youth had a little bit of difference where they could only enter 2 livestock in each species. And most of the other, some of the stuff's going virtual for beginners and juniors for contests. However, seniors can do it in person because of national trips. So in September, the youth will be working on their record books and award applications now. It'll be ending our year. And then we'll start our new 4-H year on October 1st, with our National 4-H week, which is October 4th through the 10th. So.
All
and
right.
any
So you'll
questions?
probably still be able to do like the 4-H recognition banquet, or we don't really
We
know?
are still finding out more information about that. I believe we'll still have a limit of 50 at that time. So we're gonna have to see how we'll do that. That is set for October 18th, but I just need to hear more information from my supervisor. So,
Sounds good,
and then we'll know more about that. So,
as time goes.
yeah, as time travels, we'll see what happens.
True. All right, does anyone else have any other questions for Jody? If not, thank you,
Thanks for your work,
Jody.
Jody.
Thank you.
Sounds
Drive
like
safe.
it's gonna be a cooler week at the fair this week, so.
Yeah, that's
so-
nice. All right,
Oh.
thank you.
Yep, thanks, Jody. Next, we will move on to the Veteran Service Officer. If Todd would want to come up, please. Thank you for sending your report out early. It gave us a chance to look it over.
Hey, Todd.
Good morning, everybody. So last week I attended the state VSO training and conference in Pier, 24 through 27 August out there. As of 27 August, I did pass my certification test. So that's a bonus. There's still a lot to learn. Met with several county VSOs out there. Got a lot of offers to help, made some good connections there. So that was I would say that was a successful week.
That's
John,
always good, like when we went to our conventions as well. That's kind of some of the biggest parts of it.
Yes.
Meeting those.
John Matson, he's the new state field VSO. He is on the job and we'll have an office here in Watertown. And I believe it's at the old bowling alley or the state office out there is where he'll be located. He'll be overseeing the northeast portion of South Dakota, the county VSOs there. The new computer and Wi-Fi equipment is on order. Hopefully should be seeing it maybe this week, hopefully. Completed the initial Veterans Court mentorship training the other day. It's about an hour of the day. And it's an interesting program. Looking forward to, I don't have a huge role in it from that standpoint, other than going to a couple of the, when we meet with the individuals and a little bit of training here and there, but it, I provide from the VA or from the veterans benefits, you know, if the veteran is in there and they need to ask this question or that question. That's what what I'm there to relate with. And also the two current people that are in there are both artillerymen, so I can talk artillery to them too. So from that perspective. We have a success story. We have 5 potential vehicle volunteer drivers that are in the system. We have a couple more. I don't know if I've emailed the stuff out. I don't know if they have sent it to Sioux Falls or not. I haven't got back in touch with them, but we have 2 that I know that have made through the physical, and they have done the online training since they're not holding the credential training down there. They have to do 2 ride-along drives or rides with one of our current qualified drivers, and then they should be good to go from there. So that's a positive story there on that. The CBOC update, if you haven't had to call out there, you haven't been able to get a hold of them, but it's been kind of hit and miss there. They've had a couple of issues with their phone and their computer line being cut over the last couple of weeks. I guess it was up by Aberdeen, between Aberdeen and Watertown, but we're currently back up. I had a veteran come in yesterday, said he was trying to get a hold of them. So I don't know if it's back down. I don't know if they're having continued connection issues there from that standpoint. They are encouraging, let me back up. But they are currently running at about 60% of face-to-face appointments, still trying to achieve that 100% yet. They are still encouraging using telehealth options to conduct appointments and to provide counseling. They have 2 new hires, should be trained and on board in the front office by the end of September. They are working out the details for a possible flu clinic for late September or early October. More information to follow once that's finalized. So On the future side of things here, complete updating of the VSO and assistant VSO job descriptions with Natalie here. Start my security background investigation for training for the Veterans Benefits Management System. It's another software product that the state VSOs and the VA use. I just use Vetrospect that basically loads the stuff into VBMS. VBMS is a national database. So once I can get accredited in that, then I'll be able to, when a veteran comes in, I'll be able to reach out and see what the VA, where they're at in their examinations and stuff like that. It'll give me a lot more ability to see the details behind the weeds. Now I have to rely on Sioux Falls. So hopefully,
Sorry to interrupt. So will you be able to see like education benefits and all the veterans benefits and all those things like you say the post 9/11 GI Bill and all that, you know, you can give it to your dependents and all that stuff? Or...
I'm not 100% sure on that. If anybody comes and asks me about that right now, there's two gentlemen that specifically work that. And that's kind of what everybody has directed to say here, contact this person or this person because they manage it from the state. Okay. And that's kind of what I gathered from our meeting this last week too. I forget the gentleman's names, but they work right out of the pier and they say, here, just they specialize with that. I'll be able to go in and see if I have a veteran come in and I file a compensation claim. I'll be able to go in and say, okay, it's been to the VA. They have an examination scheduled for this date. That's what I'll be able to see from that standpoint.
That will be a benefit.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of helps alleviate some of those.
Just sitting on an 800 number, sitting on hold for like, who knows how long.
Yeah.
Hours.
As opposed to coming in and seeing a guy and just look at it and tell us, you know, it's gonna be a great resource.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question though? Just so we have it straight in our mind. So Vetrospec is a state level thing or that's a national?
It is, it's run by the state. It's not run by the state, but that's what our state uses to put our data into VBMS or into the
Federal.
Yeah, the VBMS is a national, that's what the VA, the Department of VA Affairs use. Vetrospec is not every state uses Vetrospec from what I understand.
So it's something it's like a vendor software that you can use to.
Yes, it costs, I believe, $450. I just found out here in July for me to have a license into Vetrospec. So,
Okay, thanks.
yep. And
Sorry.
Nope, I'm all right here. Selection Veteran of the Year. I meet with the commanders of the local veteran organization meetings tonight. And we'll get that into LATI there to Michael Gartney there. The Veterans and First Responders event that was usually held in September has been canceled, but they're still going to recognize the veterans and the first responders per se virtually and probably an ad in the newspaper. So that'll still going to recognize it. They just didn't want to hold the event. I'm going to start the process and establish a computer in my entry area for the VSO for veterans to use to help them write supporting documents for claims, research data for their own claims, provide access to a multitude of veteran and VA websites to update and monitor their claims and benefits. What I'm finding out is that e-benefits, for you're familiar with the veterans, e-benefits is the VA online. They can go on, they can change their direct deposit, they can monitor their payments, they can monitor their claims and stuff of that nature. Yeah, that's the idea. And some of our veterans aren't very computer savvy from that standpoint. Being able to do that in the office there and be able to help them maybe set up a password so that they could check it, or at least provide them a spot that they can stop in and check it, is kind of my thought process.
That would be great.
So,
yep. And last but not least, continue researching our options for transporting veterans to appointments for the DAV vehicle process. The DAV vehicle application is still has not been published. So that is all I have. Any questions or concerns?
Good rundown.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you heard anything about the state veteran cemetery? Are you hearing much about that?
I am. We talked about that. They do have the forms out, the pre-need forms for somebody that is planning their estate. They are there. They can get them at my office. They can get them online. Everything is going very well. Of course, it's going to be built in phases. The initial phase with the internment area, the building where all that will happen at one spot, and then they'll go out from there. That is coming along nicely. It should be operational first part of the spring, I would say next year, March, April timeframe. There's already, I believe, there's over 300 pre-need eligibility people that are planning ahead
Okay.
for that. So
So this is at state level, not a VA cemetery. It's a
That-
state.
No, it's
That-
the state.
yeah,
Okay.
it is the state located down in Bison Falls
And
there.
how does that affect eligibility, or like, what is there a difference between, say, who can be buried in a VA cemetery? And
There's not a lot of difference from what I understand. I haven't really specifically read that. I mean, I've been predetermined to be out at Rapid City or Sturgis. I haven't crossed and
No,
looked
it's
at.
nothing urgent, just asking.
No, I don't know. I don't think there would be a lot from that standpoint. I don't know. One time they mentioned about if it's a state entity, and this was discussed briefly at the meeting there with the National Guards being eligible. I don't think it is, because I don't think, unless you were a federally recognized veteran, I think that's where it comes into. It's not. So.
We're going to have a resolution at our commission convention in regards to the road to get there. It sounds like might be issues getting that built.
Yes.
You make sure that. You're not on.
All right, thanks, Todd. All right, so we will move on then to item number 8, action to approve a notice to bidders for riprap fabric installation and hauling. Rick will give us that information.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rick.
Morning, Rick.
First one is, there's 3 areas that we're going to need riprap on. That is County Road 10-1, which would be 170th Street. The second one would be 8-1A, which would be 167th Street. And the third is County Road 23-6. That is 442nd Avenue. All 3 of these have been built up. Last year, 442nd was built up, and we need to get riprap on that. And the other 2 we built up this year. We finally got those to the grade we wanted. So we need to get those riprapped.
Preserve what
Yep.
we've done.
I'll make a motion to approve
Correct. Got
notice
a
to bidders.
motion by Gable. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Waterman. Any other discussion?
So this is the project here that just so people can
Yes.
see. So that, okay.
Yeah, there's the three areas there that.
This is just notice to bidders, so then we'll go through that process and open them up
Yes,
whenever that deadline is. So,
September 22nd is the
okay,
date
there it
to
is.
open the bids.
yeah, the county convention moved it back a week, so.
Yeah. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed, that motion carries. Now, item number 9, action to approve a notice to bidders for culvert installation on project 17-6.
This is the project that Clark Engineering put together the permits, and they figured out the size culverts between Goose Lake and Pelican that runs underneath our county road 17-6. And currently, I just went through there this morning to look, there's no water running through there. But we need to get these
There's
installed.
only one culvert in there.
There's one 24-inch culvert there currently, so a heavy rain episode would not be good.
Yeah, it was flowing pretty good for a while.
Yep.
We'll make a motion to approve the notice to bidders.
All right, got a motion by Van Duzen, second by Gable. Any other discussion?
That's just a notice, right? At this
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Yep, and we open that up on September 22nd as well, looks like. So,
So this diagram here shows,
Yeah, this is, the culvert. That's what Clark Engineering drew up.
okay,
And, I have some of those at my office if people want them and I can email them. But the county's doing the bidding, so.
Okay.
They just drew up the plans of what needs to be done.
right.
There's 124 inch in there now.
Yes.
And we're gonna replace that 24 with 218s.
336.
330. Should be enough.
Well,
Better be.
We hope.
I hope so.
If we need to move more than that, we
We
got
had it
bigger
in
issues.
Yeah, we need,
we relied on engineering, so hopefully they got it
Yep.
right.
Thank you.
okay.
All right, we ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thanks,
Thanks, Rick.
Rick. Item number 10, action to approve the renewal premiums for employee health insurance with Stanford.
And I apologize, I did not send that out in your packet, so if you want to wait a week to do that, I'll just continue that. If you want to look at the numbers first. It is less than 10%. So, but it's up to you.
Have you had a chance to visit with the employees? Is it,
There's really nothing to visit with the employees.
well, I
about.
mean, I've not heard anything from any of them as far as the.
Well, this is not their decision. This is your decision.
I know, but I have not heard any flack in reference to,
I have not heard anybody who's unhappy with
that's what I'm
cover.
saying.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
that's what
no,
I'm
I
saying.
have not. I mean, our insurance agent comes in once a month
Yep.
and sits here for half an hour
Mhm.
for any employee who wants to come in and discuss any problems they're having. And there's
Yep.
usually one or two that show up, but if you want Ray Krams to come in and review this too, I can get that set up.
I think I would like that.
Okay,
So why don't we do that next week, and that way,
if he's available, I will set that up for next
Yeah.
week.
because
Okay.
there's no
Or at
rush,
least
we don't
have
have.
a list of what the premiums are.
Right, yes, and I apologize, I completely forgot that I put it on there, so
That's all right. We'll just do it next
I
week.
will contact him and see if he's available. Okay,
Sounds good.
all right.
There's no rush, so I mean, whenever he is available, I guess that's when we could address it, but yeah, if you just send us
Well,
the
we like to
information.
get it locked in.
I suppose before they have a chance to whittle. All right. Item number 11, action to abate abandoned mobile home property taxes.
I believe the treasurer was going to come in here for this. I will have somebody. check.
All right. So we'll just move, we'll just keep going then until
Yep,
she
yep,
comes.
that sounds good.
Item number 12, discussion possible action to enact a ban on open burning. I think the rain kind of helped us with that, and that event on the 6th should be good now, so.
The National Weather Service is predicting warmer and drier conditions here for the next couple weeks. So that might be something we
We'll
need to
leave on.
readdress next week. but
Yep,
Just
leave
leave
it
it
on
on.
the agenda.
Yeah, we'll just leave it on there, but I think we're good for this week now, and we'll work out well with that fireworks that they planned on the 6th, I believe.
Saturday the 5th,
What's the 5th?
the wedding. Yep.
Okay. All right, item number 14, action to approve claims for payment.
Nothing today. We will have our normal bill day next Tuesday. You'll have claims.
Okay. Item number 15, action, possible discussion on COVID practices, procedures, policy. Do we have anything? All right, the treasurer is here, so we'll jump back up to item number 11, action to abate abandoned mobile home property taxes. Good morning.
Good
Deanna.
morning.
Hey, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hello. And I did put a copy of that in your packet, so. Okay. The board has the ability to abate these taxes on this abandoned mobile home. It was voluntarily surrendered to the park owners. And they had filed an affidavit indicating that they were going to move it and have it destroyed. They've surrendered the title. They surrendered the ticket from Watertown landfill showing that it's been destroyed. So under 215421, you have the ability to abate the outstanding balance, which at this time is 185.01 for the last 4 years.
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right, motion by Van Duzen, second by Johnson. Probably you're not going to get them anyway, so it's kind of one of those things.
Yep.
All right,
So
any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you,
Opposed?
Carol.
Motion carries.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Carol.
All right, so now we're on to number 16, action to approve automatic budget supplements.
Nothing today for 16 or 17.
I do, so we do have a action to approve a travel request. That was in our
This
packet.
is from the Emergency Management Director to attend the South Dakota Office of Emergency Management Conference in Spearfish. It's still kind of a tentative thing depending on how things go, but I believe Jamie intends to go to this by himself.
Move to approve.
Second.
Johnson, second by Waterman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. 19, public notices. We have the SDACC convention, September 14th and 15th. Is there anything else that we can think of that we should add to our list? Chris Wilkin left. I was going to ask him if there was anything he wanted to say during the open. Anyways, old business. Anyone have any old business?
Just, Madam Chair, I mentioned during when we were talking about budget stuff, that we had a meeting of the Behavioral Health Justice Working Group. So Chairman, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Johnson and I are on that committee. And Sarah Peterson, the Welfare Director, is the Secretary of the committee. So basically it's a committee of mostly people involved in the social services side of things. And the goal of it is to deal with mental health issues, particularly in the justice system and the jail. Two things we discussed was e-care, which is would be the ability for a law enforcement officer that might have be dealing with a mental health situation in, just in deciding whether to arrest somebody or for a mental health hold or release or whatever, give them access through a internet connection and a tablet computer to a qualified mental health professional over the internet on the spot to help just help work along with the skills of the law enforcement officer. In this case, it's a pilot just with sheriff's offices in a few counties around the state, ours being one of them. So I think that might be up and running as of that meeting on Friday. They were still working on the paperwork, but right now it's free to us for a year, I guess. If it's something that looks like it's that much of an enhancement to say the CIT or crisis intervention training that law enforcement officers already have, then we might want to look at continuing that, see if maybe it helps with the jail population. We'll have to see on that one. But
I would
it sounds
just
like an interesting
add
thing.
to that the CIT training will not be, that will continue, and it was reiterated that
It's
will
critical,
replace it. It's very
Yeah,
critical. So that will still continue whether we continue on after this pilot with this or not.
That's a good point. So this would, the CIT training really probably, it's not a requirement to, it's Avera is the one who's running it. And they've got a grant from the Helmsley Corporation that's funding it. But it doesn't replace the ability of an officer to de-escalate and deal with a difficult situation. But it complements and adds a capability. That's the idea anyway, to that, to the situation. Then the other point we discussed is the thing I alluded to in the budget is the warm handoff aspect. And in some agencies work well together, and they can work with a client that goes back and forth. Sometimes you get a client trying to work with two agencies at once and take advantage of a situation, or they just get dropped in the system. So there was kind of a general thought that we needed to think about a community services case management person. And that's kind of something that I think that the deflection program was starting to do. It just was the format of that was not something that it was easy for the law enforcement world to work with, but on the other hand, we apparently have this need. So, and we could do that we're looking at different ways to do that. And so the one way we've already talked about is having the ICAP person in the office. Another idea that was mentioned was working with LATC and their community health worker program and interns. So, those are the two alternatives.
And they may work simultaneously.
Yeah,
I mean, that may
you
be
could do
both.
them simultaneously. The thing about an internship is that it's for the intern mostly. It's not necessarily for the employer to get work out of to get. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe that would work. I don't know. I'll try to.
The only thing with that is the consistency that those individuals are going to be revolving. So you won't have the same person.
Yeah, we just have to look at the pros pros and cons. So,
Yep.
so that's that meeting in a nutshell. So we had good attendance. It was part by Zoom, part in person. So HSA, ICAP, Ellis, we had LSS, NAMI, importantly, and getting them involved. They've been on the list as a participant, but that's the National Association of Mental Illness. Their local rep participated, so that was good. Police department, always good.
It was a good meeting.
Yeah.
Very informational, a lot of good dialogue.
And I'll get that out. If people want, I have it recorded, the Zoom recorded, if people want to see what that meeting was. So just please contact me.
All right. Any other old business? How about new business? Do you have any new? Anything for the open?
You mentioned that Chris Shilkin was here. He left, he had to leave, but if you have a chance, the Watertown Development Company has added a new marketing specialist. Her name is Amanda Colhane. And if you have a chance to swing by and tell her hi and welcome aboard, I'm sure that they would appreciate that. If you had a chance to go through their open house, I represent the county on the board there at the development company. And so if you've had a chance to go through their new facility, I'd encourage you to do that. It's very beautiful up there. They've done a great job and they continue to do good work in the community. So thanks to those folks and welcome aboard, Amanda.
I did attend that. It is very nice. And then the loft apartments had an open house that day as well. So that was very well attended, I believe. All right,
Yeah.
anything else for the open? Seeing none, do we have a reason for executive session? Okay, under what? All righty, so I would ask for a motion to go into executive session under
So
3,
moved.
preparing for contract negotiations with employees or employee representatives. Motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Gable.
Will there be any follow-up discussion?
Probably nothing will be.
No.
No outcomes. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are in executive session.
Thank you.
That's a great question.
All right. Well, JT, do